guys, it's Ray. Welcome to another video. Today I'm doing a Mediterranean build, and I originally was feeling kind of uninspired to do any builds. I didn't really know what to build, so I went to my go-to, which is Mediterranean. It's my favorite style to build in, as you might know. So I was just kind of feeling lost, and I knew that if I started building in this style, I knew that it was gonna come to something that I was going to end up liking. So I did end up, just kind of starting out with these rounded archways, like I actually have done for a lot of my videos recently since I got the tool mod. Hopefully I'm not doing this too much, but it's just so inspiring to make these rounded shapes and then just build from there, because it's something so different that you normally can't do in the game. So just since I've been able to do it, it's just something that I've done non-stop, and I mean, maybe I'll get tired of it in a little bit, but for now I'm just having way too much fun using it, so I'm probably just going to continue using that until I come up with other ideas or I get sick of it, I guess. So this house it's huge. It's over 9 bedrooms, and it's like I think 5 bathrooms. I didn't end up putting as many bathrooms in as I would have liked to, just because there were so many bedrooms, but they kind of were awkward spots to be bathrooms, or they would have been like bathrooms that were way too big. But so if you are like low on bathrooms, you could always turn a bedroom into a bathroom, but that's up to you if you like want to play in this house or whatever. I just kind of built it because that's what I like doing. I don't necessarily plan on playing any Sims in this house, but that's just some advice that I have. And I started with these rounded out archway areas. That's basically all I knew when I was starting with it. That's the only thing I knew I was going to do, but I did end up sort of going with this curved kind of roof theme, and I of course make these like reddish orangish colored Mediterranean roofs, and I add a bunch of like accents and stuff. And instead of using a lot of the base game windows, which I usually use for Mediterranean builds, I ended up using a lot of Realm of Magic windows, because the columns that I'm using, or not the columns, the archways that I'm using to make these sort of circle shapes, those come from Realm of Magic, and they're in this like really pretty deep brown color, and I really loved it. And I couldn't find any base game windows that were Mediterranean themed to sort of match with this. They were more of a faded brown, so I did end up going with a lot of the Realm of Magic windows. As you can see, the windows that are on the house right now, I do end up changing those, but those are the same types of windows that I use throughout this build, and they're the same color. To me, they're more of a vibrant brown. They're deeper instead of just like more of a gray. They're definitely they have more of an orange tone to them, and I really liked that a lot better, so I knew I was going to go with that when I first started, because I just wanted to add a little bit more color. I wanted this to be super vibrant and not just, kind of like bland and whatever. I really wanted it to be colorful, and I knew that when I was going to take my screenshots, it was going to be sunset, because I knew I really wanted that beautiful sunset in the background. I really wanted that golden hour look on this build, so that is what I ended up doing. And I really tried to go all out with the terrain editing. I used a lot of tool to kind of bring the debug walls outside of the boundary of the lot a little bit, because I wanted to be able to fill up all the space that I could, like to the very edge of the lot. So what I end up doing is the back, like the backyard basically of the build is raised up, and I use this because I have like a foundation next to it, and then obviously if you have a foundation at the edge of the lot, you're not going to be able to, manipulate any of the terrain around it or like place any plants, because basically you're at the edge of the lot. So what I did is I just placed a fence around it, and I just picked a debug fence, and I moved it using tool away from the lot just a little bit, so that it was able to basically be the boundary from that foundation. So the backyard is raised up a little bit, and I thought that was kind of a cool thing that I've never done before, and it was kind of interesting to do, because it was just kind of fun experimenting. I don't know, I just feel like I usually end up having either like a super flat lot or a lot where it's just like flat on all the edges and just super raised up in the middle or something like that. But I did have a lot of fun kind of experimenting and making the back of the lot raised while the front of the lot wasn't. But that being said, I still decorated a lot of the front because it's in Oasis Springs, this super deserty world. You have that sort of like sand colored ground. There's not really any grass unless you want to add like grass patches. So I did end up adding these like little grass patches you can see from the debug menu, and I use that, and I use tool a lot to sort of placed them around in positions that I like them, and I placed the plants on top of that, and then that's basically where I have all the plants area, and then I just fill the sandy space with rocks and just cute little cacti and stuff like that. And I sort of, right now I'm actually doing this, I'm creating this sort of like entryway on the left side and the right side, created through these archways, and so that's like a way that you can get around the build, and I just thought it added some detail to the exterior, and it just looked kind of cool. I really wanted something that was interesting, not just like in the middle of it, but also like all around. So basically, like no matter where you are looking from at the front of the lot, it's super like intriguing to just look at, and it looks pretty cool. And you know, it's a build that you kind of want to visit or like explore. So I create these paths that go from the left side and the right side of the front of the lot that both lead to these side stairs, as you can see. And then they also lead through these archways, and that leads to the raised backyard. So to create these paths, I use this debug object. You can find it in hidden objects with hidden objects cheat. It's basically like a brick, like a whitish block brick. I know Kate Emerald calls it like the debug brick, but I think it's supposed to be like a bag of flour or something. But it's from the hidden objects menu. And I just copied a bunch of them down, and I rotated them in just a way that to make a curved path, basically. So I usually do this with rocks, but I wanted to switch it up a little bit, so I did end up doing it with a different object instead this time. But it was actually kind of fun. It was definitely more work than rocks because you can't just copy them because they're from the debug menu, so the eyedropper tool wasn't working. You can always use Twisted Max's mod, the better build and buy, because that helps you copy it. But I had just uninstalled it to reinstall the new version, and I forgot to reinstall the new one, so I just didn't have it to copy, and I was already way into it, so I didn't end up being able to use the eyedropper tool to copy these little bricks, and I'm actually about to place them right now. But it ended up being okay because I just placed a ton at once, and I just cut it out right there. So I was able to just like place them all in one little spot, and then I was able to retrieve them from that spot. And as you can see, I'm sort of shaping the path that I would like, and I just traced it out using the paint, the terrain paint. So that was pretty easy. It was just a little tedious just because, you know, it was a lot of manipulating the little bricks. So yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone, but I did really want to get that effect of like a curved path with like barriers, because I knew I wanted to have a grassy area and a path area and like a desert sand area. So I wanted to make sure there were clear barriers in between each one. And as you can kind of see, it sort of matches the barrier that is on the edge of the grass. So I sort of wanted it to look kind of similar so that it, you know, kind of matched and made sense that, you know, this is on the same lot. These are kind of just like part of the same garden area. And I just wanted to kind of give it that similar theme and kind of make it, you know, consistent throughout the whole thing. And once I finish placing all of these, I end up putting in the flooring, and instead of like adding foundation pieces and putting in the flooring, I just add them basically tile by tile, and I just cut it out. But as you can see, there's normal flooring in between those paths, and it wasn't perfect because, as you know, you can only make the flooring squares. So if you hit Control F, you can always make it into a diagonal. So I was able to sort of fit it in the walls of the path using Control F, making the diagonal pieces and just using the squares. So there are little pieces that stick out, but as you'll see later, you can kind of see them covered up a little bit when I put in rocks and stuff and cacti and decorations, and just it's not as obvious once I add in a lot of details. So I thought it wasn't a big deal. It didn't really bother me, and if it does bother you, you can always take out the floor pieces and you can just, you know, put in terrain there. But I thought it was, or terrain paint, but I thought it was kind of fun to do something other than terrain paint because I always do that, and I wanted it to match the tile that was leading up to the path, and I thought it would be really cool because it would just make that whole path look super consistent and just like make it very clear like this is the path to the house, and just make it look more like secure. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I wanted to make it look sort of like secure there. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I want it to be like, this is like the path leading up to the house. It's not gravel, like it is tile, like it is here to stay. So I just kind of thought it gave it that like stable kind of look. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about this build. I don't furnish the bedrooms, unfortunately. I do furnish all the bathrooms that I created. I do the kitchen room, I do the dining room, I have a little bar area and an office, a living room. Did I already say that? Maybe. And I have a little just kind of like dance floor room with a piano in it and just stuff like that. And I sort of create this like open entryway. You'll see that in a little bit, like I usually do. Honestly, I do that a lot with a lot of my builds, but I furnished like the main parts of the house, but I did not end up doing the entire thing. But I really hope you enjoyed this, and if you want to check out any of my other builds, especially my Mediterranean ones, I do have them in my playlist speed build, or I will put the link to them here. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any ideas for anything else for me to do, I would definitely appreciate that, because, you know, sometimes, you know, it's hard just to come up with something to do. You know, you're feeling kind of lost and uninspired, and, you know, you just need some inspiration. So I'm definitely feeling that right now, especially with school. Like, I have a lot of work to be doing in school, so I don't have as much time to just kind of play around with the game. I sort of have to, like, you know, go in the game and like be ready to build if I want to actually be able to finish builds. So on that note, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy! Bye!
Result.